Tell me, there's something strange with the moon dial.
We're gonna turn it up. Who gonna get splattered? Time to get wet. What's another cup? Get your game on. Grab the weed and tacos. We bout to take off. Talking East, come back. Get your ass joke. Like Obi-Wan. You don't want none. Underdog, Lord. We bout to flip script. Time to power up. Body walking Power Ranger. Give a fuck about no strangers. Slap a bitch, you in danger. Get the fuck out the way. Every day where I stay. Hit a bitch with the face. Power up, fade away. And this bitch like 2K. Give a fuck when you pay. Every day with a day. Every day we stay. Drive by GTA. Drive by GTA. Fuck them bitches with a stay. Hit them out with the fade.
Peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly. Gonna make that money, get that money sideways. Gonna hit that money, make that money roll. Make that money green, smoke it on the daily. Get that green on the money, got that money in the mind. Grinding all day, gonna make it on the fly. Ain't messing with no money on a dime. Only if you got silver and a grind.
Very clever, Mother. Very clever. I've never been in those tunnels before, but I'd bet they'd run right under the courtyard and into the tower ruins. Well, at least we're getting closer. Let's go. It's so bright out here. I don't know how you stand it. We're getting close, I'm sure of it. If I had to guess, I'd say the moment Mother fled the castle, Father went on a rampage. Knowing him, anything at all that reminded him of her was just destroyed. It appears that way. I suppose he wanted to put the past behind him. Perhaps if he had spent more time with us, he would have recognized the beauty for himself. There's not a whole lot to tell. You've already seen my father's obsession. My mother's not a whole lot better, but you'll see that soon enough. It's not that simple. I guess it never is with families, is it? What about you? What were your parents like? I know how that feels. I mean, I know it isn't the same thing, but I was a pretty lonely child myself. Not as much. Let's just keep going. I've never even seen this part of the castle before. Be careful. I don't know what might be around. Done and done. Done. Who's there? Done and done. We're getting close. I'm sure of it. Where'd you come from? Who's there? That'll teach you. Who's there? We're getting close. I'm sure of it.
Welcome to Cyber Dragon Gaming Channel. We're gonna turn it up. Who gonna get splattered? Time to get
Done and done. Who's there? What was that? What was that?
I'm going to put you down!
you. Look at this place. This has to be it. I knew she was deep into necromancy. I mean, she taught me everything I know. But I had no idea she had a setup like this. Look at all this. She must have spent years collecting these components. And what's this thing? I'm not sure about this circle, but it's obviously something. Let's take a look around. There has to be something here that tells us where she's gone. My mother was meticulous about her research. If we can find her notes, there might be some hints in there. I had no idea her laboratory even existed. She had an alchemy set up in her drawing room, but nothing that even comes close to what's here. Looking at the equipment and materials, it looks like she was trying to advance her necromancy. I remember she used to keep a small journal. See if you can dig it up.
Welcome to CyberDog, Dragon Gaming Channel. We gonna turn it up. Who gonna get splattered? Time to get wet. What's another cup? Get your gaming on. Grab the weed and tacos. We about to take off. Talking East, come back. Get your ass choked.
Keep searching for her notes. She probably had a journal or something.
Lord, we about to flip script. Time to power up. Mighty Walker Power Ranger. Give a fuck about no strangers. Slap a bitch, you in danger. Get the fuck out the way. Every day where I stay. Hit a bitch with the fade. Power up, fade away. Give a fuck when you say. Every day with a day. Every day with a day. Drive by the DA. Drive by the DA. Fuck a bitch with a day. Hit him out with the fade.
Peanut butter jelly. Gonna make that money, get that money sideways. Gonna hit that money, make that money roll. Make that money green, smoke it on a daily. Get that green on the money, got that money in the mind. Grinding all day, gonna make it on the fly. Ain't messing with no money on a dime. Only if you got silver in a grind.
Any luck yet? You did? Let me see them. I only know what she told me. She had a theory about soul gems, that the souls inside of them don't just vanish when they're used. They end up in the soul cairn. The soul cairn is home to very powerful beings. Necromancers send them souls and receive powers of their own in return. My mother spent a lot of time trying to contact them directly, to travel to the soul cairn itself. That circle in the center of the room is definitely some type of portal. If I'm reading this right, there's a formula here that should give us safe passage into the soul cairn. A handful of soul gem shards, some finely ground bone meal, a good bit of purified void salts. Oh, damn it. We're also going to need a sample of her blood, which, if we could get that, we wouldn't even be trying to do this in the first place. Not bad. We'd better hope that's good enough. Mistakes with these kind of portals can be gruesome. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get started. Oh, definitely. Mother would have plenty of those materials in her laboratory. You just need to find them. Then the rest is up to me. Are you ready to go? I'm not entirely sure what this thing is going to do when I add my blood. Of course. What is it? I've been asking myself the same thing since we came back to the castle. She was so sure of what we did to my father. I couldn't help but go along with her. I never thought of the cost. Possibly. I guess even a vampire mother is still a mother. She worried about me, about all of us. But she wanted to get me as far away from my father as possible before he really went over the edge. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I just didn't expect anyone to care how I felt about her. Thank you. Are we ready then? All right, here goes. By the blood of my ancestors. She actually did it. Created a portal with a soul cannon. Incredible. Incredible. Simply incredible. Not that I ever saw. My mother had a bit of a thing for magical constructs. Not what you're thinking. She just found them fascinating. The Soul Cairn is a tiny sliver of Oblivion, the realm of the Daedra. It's ruled by unseen beings known as the Ideal Masters. Honestly, I don't know. Necromancers are always interested in souls, though, so that probably has some kind of interest. Nobody really knows. As far as I've heard, no one's seen them and returned to Tamriel to tell about it. I've read stories about fools that manage to communicate with them. You give the Ideal Masters souls, they give you powers to summon the undead. It's all very businesslike. Because most of the stories end with the Ideal Masters duping the Necromancers, who end up dead or wishing they were dead. I'm ready when you are. Look at this place. I can't imagine choosing to come here. My mother must have been terrified. Look at the sky. What kind of place is this? You'd think a vampire would be right at home in this place. You'd be wrong. Let's just find my mother and get out of here, quickly. Look at the sky. What kind of place is this?
Welcome to Cyber Dragon Gaming Channel. We gonna turn it up. Who gonna get splattered? Time to get wet. What's another color? Get your gaming on. Grab the weed and talk. We about to take off. Talking is come back. Get your ass joke. Like Obi-Wan. You don't want none. Underdog Lord. We about to flip the drill. Time to power up.
The screams. They pierce my mind. I can't stand it.
Get the fuck out the way. Every day where I stay. Hit a bitch with the spade. Power up, fade away. Every bitch like you can. Give a fuck what you say. Every day with a chain. Every day with the stage. Drive by the DA. Drive by the DA. Fuck the bitch with the stage. Hit him out with the fade.
Peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly. Wanna make that money, get that money sideways. Wanna hit that money, make that money roll. Make that money green, smoke it on the daily. Get that green on the money, got that money in the mind. Turn it on day, gonna make it on the fly. Ain't messing with no money on a dime. Only if you got silver and a crime.
Please, end this misery.
This accursed place is nothing but a prison without walls.
Where'd you come from? Done and done. Mother? Mother!
Maker. It can't be. Serena?
Is it really you? I can't believe it. How do we get inside? We have to talk.
Serena, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to complete the prophecy our way, not his.
Wait a moment. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
No, you don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you.
So how has it come to pass that a vampire of mixed blood is in the company of my daughter?
Safe? You call bringing her here safe? Has she explained nothing to you?
Serena has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you. You think I'd have the audacity to place my own daughter in that tomb for the protection of her Elder Scroll alone? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serena herself. When I fled Castle Volkihar, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serena speaks of Auriel and his arcane weapon, Auriel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon. Like myself, Serena was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molig Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molig Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor. It's what some call the domain of Molig Bal, his place in oblivion. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serena, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible. If Harkon obtained Auriel's bow, and Serena's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires. And how exactly do you plan on completing the prophecy without the death of my daughter? Have you been listening to me? Like Serena, I'm a pure-blooded vampire. My presence on Tamriel is as much of a danger as hers. You care nothing for Serena, or our plight. You see the tyranny of the sun as your chance at deification. And like Harkon, you won't hesitate to destroy anything that stands in your path. Serena? This stranger may call himself a vampire, but he knows nothing of our struggle. Why should I entrust you to him?
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known him than you've done in centuries.
How dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
Oh, Serena, if you'd only open your eyes. The moment your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So to protect me, you decided to shut me away. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different, but in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again. But I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him, before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, Serena. I didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me, but for Serena's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can. Yes, I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you're in a position to breach the barrier that surrounds these ruins. You need to locate the tallest of the rocky spires that surround these ruins. At their bases, the barrier's energy is being drawn from unfortunate souls that have been exiled here. Destroy the keepers that are tending them, and it should bring the barrier down. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the cairn. Be wary of him. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the keepers, and will undoubtedly intervene if you're perceived as a threat. When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they craved. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins. Unfortunately, yes. Since the keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to breach. Time has very little meaning to me. Consequently, it has little meaning to the Ideal Masters as well. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game, each watching the other to see which will give in. I know very little about them. They're mystic entities that lord over the Soul Cairn, controlling every aspect from its fabric to its appearance. Well, some necromancers believe they are the crystalline structures dotting the Soul Cairn. I believe there's more to it than that. I think they transcend what we perceive as a physical form. Perhaps they were once corporeal beings, but they've obviously reached a point where they no longer require a tangible presence. Conduits, through which the Ideal Masters speak to their underlings and feed on their victims. The Ideal Masters' weakness is their insatiable hunger for pure souls. It's the reason for the Soul Cairn's existence, and the only leverage a necromancer has when bargaining with them. The ability to summon powerful undead guardians, as one would conjure an Atronak or Daedra. However, the majority of necromancers that are foolish enough to enter into a bargain with the Ideal Masters wind up here, as harvested souls. Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish, and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. As you've been traveling in the soul cairn, your body has become attuned to it. Let's just say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the soul cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer. Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison. The beast. Kill those keeper things and get back to the prison. I think I could. Done. did you come from?
Welcome to Cyber Dragon Gaming Channel. We gonna turn it up. Who gonna get splattered? Time to get wet. What's that not color? Get your gaming on. Grab the weed and talk. We about to take off. Talking he's come back. Get your ass choked. I ain't what we want. You don't want none. Pilot dog. We about to get the real. Time to power up. Body walk with our range. Give a fuck about no strangers. Slap a bitch. Get the fuck up.
Arvak! You saved him! His soul is free, I can feel it! He's such a loyal beast. Here, I'll teach you how to call him to you. He'll help you get around this wretched place. But I'm sure he'd be much happier someplace sunnier. Goodbye, hero. Take good care of Arvak for me. Such a good horse.
can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. Who's there? The barrier should be gone now. Let's head back.
How could they trick me like this? I was one of Riemann's court wizards!
You managed to destroy all 3 keepers? Very impressive. You managed to destroy all 3 keepers? Very impressive. You managed to destroy all 3 keepers? Very impressive. Yes. Please follow me. Keep watch for Durnevere. With the prison's barrier down, he's almost certain to investigate.
I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. Here's something. Where'd you come from? Stay back! Stay back! I'm not gonna die like I'm gonna have to kill you. Again!
Forgive my astonishment, but I never thought I'd witness the death of that dragon. Forgive my astonishment, but I never thought I'd witness the death of that dragon. Volumes written on Durnevere allege that he can't be slain by normal means. It appears they were The soul of a dragon is as resilient as its owner's scaly hide. It's possible that your killing blow has merely displaced Durnevere's physical form while he reconstitutes himself. Minutes, hours, years, I can't even begin to guess. I suggest we don't wait around to find out. Now, let's get you the Elder Scroll and you can be on your way.
Come on. She's leading us to the scroll. Come on. She's leading us to the scroll. Come on. She's leading us to the scroll.
What did you want?
I'm glad you're here. I don't think I could be doing this alone. I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. I'm glad you're here. I don't think I could be doing this.
What did you want? Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish, and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they crave. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. What did you want?
I'm glad you're here. I don't think I could be doing this alone. I can't believe we found my mother. Relieved, I think. All those things had been building for a while. You have no idea how long I wanted to say that to her. Look, I loved my father, but when he found that prophecy, that became his life. Everything else, even me and my mother, we just became clutter. I was close with my mother, but she just kept feeding me her opinions of him, and eventually I started believing them. The moment we gave ourselves to Molik Bal, things got really icy between them. They were both drunk with power, and pulling in different directions. And then he found that prophecy, and that was it. I was. Honestly, it took me up until now to figure out that my mother was really just as bad as he was. He was obsessed with power. She was obsessed with seeing him fail. It was just so toxic. Maybe I could have seen this coming. We could all be better off now. I know that in my head, but I just can't help feeling bad about it. The way things are. Sorry, I know you're trying to help. Thanks. Anyway, we should keep moving.
Now that you've retrieved the Elder Scroll, you should be on your way. I have no choice. As I told you before, I'm a daughter of Cold Harbor. If I return to Tamriel, that increases Harkon's likelihood of bringing the tyranny of the sun to fruition. I appreciate your concern for me, but Serena is all that I care about. You must keep her safe at all costs. Remember that Harkon is not to be trusted. No matter what he promises, he'll deceive you in order to get what he wants. And promise me you'll keep my daughter safe. She's the only thing of value I have left. Did you have anything to ask before you depart?
Stay your weapons. I would speak with you, Carin. Cursed, not dead. Doomed to exist in this form for eternity. Trapped between Laas and Enoch. Between life and death. The hostility was necessary. I was bound to an oath. I believe in civility among seasoned warriors, and I find your ear worthy of my words. My claws have rendered the flesh of innumerable foes, but I have never once been felled on the field of battle. I therefore honor name you Carin, or Vanquisher in your tongue. Your words do me great honor. My desire to speak with you was born from the result of our battle, Carin. I merely wish to respectfully ask a favor of you. For countless years I've roamed the Soul Cairn in unintended service to the ideal. I fear that my time here has taken its toll upon me. I share a bond with this dreaded place. If I ventured far from the Soul Cairn, my strength would begin to wane until I was no more. I will place my name with you, and grant you the right to call my name from Tamriel. Do me this simple honor, and I will fight at your side as your Graze Mazen, your ally, and teach you my Thum. Trivial in your mind, perhaps. For me, it would mean a great deal. I don't require an answer, Carin. Simply speak my name to the heavens when you feel the time is right. In my language, the Carin is the Vanquisher, the one who has bested a fellow Dova in battle. Even in the Soul Cairn, the defeat of the World Eater has reached my ears, Dovahkiin. You may not be Dova, but the defeat of Alduin earns you the right of title. There was a time when I called Tamriel my home, but those days have long since passed. The Dova roamed the skies, vying for their small slices of territory that resulted in immense and ultimately fatal battles. I was, but unlike some of my brethren, I sought solutions outside the norm in order to maintain my superiority. I began to explore what the Dova call Elok Dylan, the ancient forbidden art that you call necromancy. The Ideal Masters assured me that my powers would be unmatched, that I could raise legions of the undead. In return, I was to serve them as a keeper until the death of the one who calls herself Valerica. I discovered too late that the Ideal Masters favor deception over honor, and had no intention of releasing me from my binding. They had control of my mind, but fortunately they couldn't possess my soul. Free? No. I have been here too long, Carin. The soul Cairn has become a part of what I am. I can never fully call Tamriel my home again, or I would surely perish. I only hope that you will allow me the precious moments of time there, through your call.
Let's just say I sold something to a guy who turned out to work for a whole coven of necromancers. How in the name of Zenithar was I to know the ingredients were phony? Do I look like someone that would double-cross a necromancer? You got it. Horse, wagon, and all. Plopped here without so much as a word. I used to be one of the best traders in High Rock, you know. Oh, people would track me down just to see what I had for sale. Very funny. And what exactly are you going to pay me with? Take a look around. Gold doesn't exactly win you any friends around here. I'll tell you what. I appreciate what you're trying to do, so I'll play along. The only thing I see around here in abundance are soul husks. You know, those ugly fungus-looking things growing out of the ground. Bring me, say, 25 of them, and you can rummage through what was left on my cart. Odds and ends I've gathered over the years. Well, used to gather, before all of this nonsense happened to me. Tell me what you're looking for, and maybe we can make a deal, if you have the husks. Oh sure, keep pestering me then, by all means.
Come on, let's go home. Come on, let's go home.
I must return to the frontline Alessian headquarters at once. Lives are hanging in the balance.
Where'd you come from?
Someone there.
Welcome to Cyber Dragon Gaming Channel. We gonna turn it up. Who gonna get splattered? Time to get wet. What's another cup? Get your gaming on. Grab the weed and talk. We about to take off. Talking, he's come back. Get your ass Joe. Like movie one. You don't want none. Underdog, dog. We about to flip the script. Time to power up. Body rock a Power Ranger. Give a fuck about no strangers. Slap a bitch who in danger. Get the fuck out the way. Every day where I stay. Hit a bitch with a fade. Power up, fade away. And this bitch like 2K. Give a fuck what you pay. Every day with the change. Every day with the stay. Drive by the GA. Drive by the GA. Fuck the bitch with a stay. Hit him out with a flame.
Peanut butter chicken. Wanna make that money, get that money sideways. Wanna make that money.
That'll teach you.
Green on the money, got the money in the mind. Grinding all day, gonna get on the fly. Ain't messing with no money on the time. Always be trying to work in the grind.
What now? I figured it would be more of an issue for you. Don't tell me you're that naive. Really? Oh. Wow. Alright, well... What do you think my father's going to do once we bring the bow to him? Of course he will. But at that point, he'll have everything he's ever wanted. He won't need either of us anymore. You'll have shown yourself to be strong, which means you can't be allowed to just stick around. And I'll be unnecessary once he has it. I think you know. We both know what's going to have to happen once we find the bow. Keep strong and eyes open. We're on a different path now.
Enchanting services are one of the few things that keep us in touch with the rest of Skyrim.
Archmage or not, my rules about books still stand. All this finally came to your senses, huh? Realized what you gave up. Can't say I'm surprised. Tell you what, I'll sell it back to you for 4,000 coins. Oh, very well. I don't know how you expect me to keep this place in order when I can't make a profit. I don't care if you wrote it yourself. If you want a book from here, you go through me.
Do you need something?
If you require if you would, the summoning of undead is even less advisable outside the college. I'll teach you some of what I know, but be careful. Nasty business with that Ancano fellow. Pity that I was unable to assist, but I was otherwise up.
This must be that beautiful Skyrim weather I've always heard about.